Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in for good measure. If you are new, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you like what you see. Maybe hit like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I've got the giggles this morning, so this is about the third time I'm trying to say hello to everybody. If you were a returning friend, thank you so much for coming back and hanging out with me and chatting, stitching, and all that good stuff. And as always, I would love to know what you're stitching if you are stitching while watching me. Happy World Cross Stitch Day. It is Friday, August 12th, and how fortuitous that I am stitching on World Cross Stitching Day, or filming. See, I've already got the brain already ready for stitching. I don't know if you've got anything fun planned for today. It's so funny because National Scrapbook Day, I think, is in May. Maybe there's a National Scrapbook Day and there's a World Card Making Day. One of them might be the fall and one's the spring. And I never seem to be around or available to craft on those days. So I'm hoping today to maybe get a little bit of stitching in after I film. And if you're doing something special or fun or whatever, I would love to know. Two things before we get to the stitching. I have 9 projects this week to show you. Some finishes, a couple starts and finishes, and an actual start of a little bit of a bigger project. Not a huge one though. But 2 things first. This past week, just a couple days ago, I put out a Scrap With Me video. Thank you so much for all of the kind words and for so many of you that watched it. I know so many of you are stitching friends and may not be interested in some of the other things I do. So when I get people to actually watch these extra videos that have things besides just the stitching, I am so thrilled. Thank you for the positive feedback. Yes, I would like to make a series of it. That first one was just talking supplies, basic supplies for you to start a stitching scrapbook if you were so inclined. And I'm thrilled to hear that so many of you have stitches that you don't necessarily want to put all over the place, but would like to have them somewhere. So we can explore this journey together, which is so much fun. I myself had just gotten all of the supplies together. The next couple weeks are probably, they're kind of up in the air and a little bit of this and that besides stitching. So I probably am going to look at September to really kind of dive into starting to put my own items in a scrapbook, and hopefully we can document and scrapbook together. And so there will be some more Scrap With Me's as I get going, but probably not any extras, most likely until September when everything kind of settles down again. But we'll see with that. So thank you so much. And if you haven't seen it and you are interested in possibly learning about putting your stitching in some sort of scrapbook, some people call it journals, I am just giving my take on how I plan to do it. There are lots of different ways, but if you'd like to see it, it's down below. It's called Scrap With Me #1. Then secondly, I need your expertise, my friends. So I had talked about using interfacing on the back of my stitches when I do my artist trading cards and when I'm going to put them in the scrapbook. And somebody had asked me, they said that their experience sometimes with the interfacing and cross stitch when they're making pillows is that the interfacing comes off. Is there a reason for that? I am not a sewer, so I don't generally, really this is the only first time I really used interfacing. I picked up Pellin 950F. I'm not 100%, there's so many, there's so many, and a stitchy friend had sent me a couple samples, small little samples ages ago, and I tried the 950F and it seemed to work well. Is that the right one? For those of you who are super experienced, would you have a suggestion for another one? And is there a reason for this interfacing coming off? So I am looking to your expertise to maybe help all of us who might have questions on that. So if you have any advice or suggestions or troubleshooting, I would love to hear it, because now I'm afraid because if the stitching comes off the interfacing, it would come out of the scrapbook or it would come off of the artist trading card or any of that other stuff. So I want to learn. So teach me, please. Okay, so those are the two things I wanted to talk about before I show my stitching. Like I said, I have 9 projects, and I think I've got a good variety. So the first one, I want to show you what it will look like when it is finished. I haven't stitched on this one in a while. I had to go back to look to see what fabric it was. So that's how I know I haven't stitched it in a while. This is called Mick Christmas from Cariad Cross Stitch Designs. They are a Facebook group. So this picture, for example, is actually off of Facebook, and then I just make it bigger. What you do with them is they show all their designs on Facebook. If you see one you like, you just send them a message. They send you an invoice, and then they send you the digital pattern. I bought this ages and ages and ages ago. I want to say, well, 2019. It feels like that long. I made it sound like it was 10 years ago, but it feels like 10 years. I bought this, I would say, I'm pretty sure at the end of 2019 when I was jumping full force back into cross stitch. And I originally stitched it on more of it partially. I got about here on a cream, and I decided that I wasn't loving it. And so I restarted it this year. And we'll see how this color comes up on the camera. But this is called Lotus. It's an 18 count Lotus from Bestitchme. So let me bring it up. I don't know if you can tell. It's a very pale purple. It's beautiful. And if you want something with a very light purple tinge, but not in your face purple, this is beautiful. And now this is the 18 count Lotus. So remember, you know, hand dyeds will look different on different types of fabrics, but this is what you get on the 18 count. And that's where I am. I am still plugging away on the hat. I mean, you can see, so let me show you on the picture. I am at the point now, let's see if I can flip it, where I'm starting to get the heart in the center. It's hard to see it right now on the fabric, but obviously it will be all covered. And then I've started to come down on one side to the end of the hat. So let's go back here. Right here, you can kind of see the shape of the heart. And I'm also slowly going back. I filled in some of the confetti pieces. Sometimes what I like to do, I've mentioned this before, if there's like a stray confetti piece, what I like to do is once that symbol comes up somewhere else, then I like to go back and fill them in. So that's why they stay there for a little while. But it's not hard, but there are lots of different color changes. So it is a little bit slow going. But that's where we are. It's a fun stitch. I think it's going to be really cute when it's done. And I'm super excited to get this part and then get going. I had gotten to right below the heart the first time around. So I'm excited to try stitching some of this other parts of it. But I love it on the purple. I love this kind of light purple for Christmas. The last time I used this purple, it was more green tones, and they looked beautiful on here. So again, think outside the box if you want for your colors, for your holiday stitches, for any type of stitches. Maybe if you don't want to start something this big as a chance, but try something small and see what works for you. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so that's the first one. And there's a lot of stuff on here. So I'm trying not to, I'll put that right there. Drop it all on the floor. Okay, next I have a finish. Now, normally I would show, it's a digital. Normally I would show you the digital piece because I've never obviously had a finish before, but now it's a finish, so I don't need to show you the original. I did it. I worked really hard this week to just plug through all of the extras, and I did it. This is called Northern Lights. It's by 2x2 Stitch Art, and they have quite a few of the circular pieces that you can do as hoops if you want as a finish. They have some other shapes as well. I've got some other designs from them. This is completely full coverage. It is all stitched in. It is just an 18 count White Aida. And let's bring it up close. And this week, my final focus was I had a few more kind of the different greens and teals, and then just a lot of 9-3 something, the deep navy. So over here you've got, that's all black, and I did use 310. I didn't change it out to anchor on this one. And then over here you've got more navy. So it's got the 2 different shades of the deep. And I did see someone, and I didn't do it. I had already started filling in. You'll see all the different stars and so on. I had seen somebody say when they were stitching this that they used glow in the dark in those sections. How cool would that be? If I hadn't already started it, I would have considered that. But I had already filled in some of them as I went, and then I stopped, and that was the very last thing I did this time. But for future idea or reference, wouldn't that have been cool to make them glow in the dark? So I showed Connor, and he is thrilled that it's finished. Now we just have to figure out how to finish it, and if we can get our act together quickly, he can take it back to school with him if he wants to put it in his room. So we'll see. But we finally have a finish. It's dense for stitching. So these are beautiful, and I would completely recommend stitching them. And the charts are big, they're easy to read. It's also, you can do it on the computer, and if you prefer to do it that way digitally. I very often print my digital patterns, but no problems reading it, seeing it. Symbols are clear and easy to read. But it is a lot of stitching. So just go into it realizing that it's going to take you a little time. But there it is. YouTube does like this piece. A lot of times when I have this in my pieces, it does pick it. So maybe it'll pick it when it's a finish now, so we can show it as my thumbnail. So that's my finish there. I'm super excited. That was started in December of last year, 2021. And my goal was to get it done before it was a year old. And then when I saw it was in sight for this summer, my goal was to get it done by the end of the summer. So super excited. Now, this next one, some of you are going to say, Laura, it is not a finish. I'm calling it a finish, and it's going to go into my scrapbook because it's just more history for me on my stitching. So what I did was back in January, I had done a project parade, like so many of us do. And I didn't do one in the summer just because a lot of the projects were all the same, so I was afraid maybe it would just be repetitive. But for some reason, I make a list of everything, and I had needed to go back to that list to find a fabric color. And when I did so, I was kind of just looking at the top of it, and I said, you know what, let's just see what needs to be done on this. And I'm seeing something now that I might just rip out. Either that, or I'll do a little bit of back stitching. I could do a little bit of back stitching on that. But anyway, see, look at that. I'm finding things that I could have done differently. But I'm basically calling it a finish. And this is a piece that I started. This is copyright 2002, and I am almost sure I probably started it around then. Megan was born in 2001, and so I bet you my thought was I was going to stitch this for her. And I stitched almost all, there was a little bit left of the full crosses. And I had all back stitch to do. Originally, now I'm not making it a stocking. And I was originally going to maybe add some more snow here to even it out a little bit. But you know what? It's part of the story. And I want to say why I'd stitched it and so on and so forth if I put it in the scrapbook. So I decided I didn't want to do that. It's going to have the stocking shape. And that's going to go just exactly the way I want it. But I had thought about, was I going to backstitch it all? And I started a little bit up here. But given the fabric was on, you couldn't see. And then I decided, because there's a lot of backstitching here. It's a leisure art. No, it's actually dimensions. It's a dimensions kit. $5 back in 2002 from the scrapbook, the stitching store, local needlework store. And I thought about it, and I said, the style now, you don't get as much back stitching, and so I'm used to that look. And so when I look at it, yes, the back stitching in some ways would outline it, but I kind of like it the way it is. And I don't have a problem with back stitching, so it's not me just basically saying, I just don't want to back stitch. I actually truly kind of like it that way, because that's kind of the style that we see now. And so it works for me. Now, the only thing I'm noticing is I did the little, I forgot to do this little kind of thing by the the lantern or the lamp there. So you're going to see a couple of just stray cross-stitch little squares. So this is back when I was stitching. And let me get rid of these. Back then, even look at, and I did bobbinate back then. See, look, these are still from 2002, and they look great. They haven't faded at all. Back then, I was stitching in 14 count. So this is going to be a 14 count Aida you're going to see. There's a lot of extra fabric up top because originally that was for a name and it was going to be made into a stocking. But here it is. This is called Snow Family Fun. It is a dimensions pattern. It's not a kit or anything like that. And I did add backstitch to all of the faces of the snowmen. I added backstitch to the face here. I really tried. Honestly, I tried. These little birds are supposed to have French knots as their little eyes. And you know me and French knots, my history. Colonial knots escape me as well. I think what I need somebody, I need one of you to sit down with me in person and actually walk me through it as I'm doing it to show me what I'm doing wrong. It was so funny. Mo even tried with the colonial knots to figure it out so he could show me because he's got good spatial awareness. He couldn't do it, so we're hopeless. Well, at least hopeless trying to figure it out through the computer. So at some point, someday, I'm going to meet one of you, and if you think about it, show me how to do French knots. Because I really tried. So they have no eyes. They're a little bit more abstract birds. Here's the two stray things that I didn't realize I had. But, and we have some stray threads. Let me throw that off. Okay. Yes, I could have evened this out, but no, I want to tell the story. And when I will cut this out to the shape when I put it in the scrapbook, rather than squaring it off. I want it actually in the shape so I can talk about that. So this piece is 20 years old from start to finish. And like I said, there really wasn't much left to do. In fact, I still have the needle. The needle was kept in the fabric all these years. Didn't make any marks on it. It's fine. The fabric is kept well. It's just moved from house to house over these years. But I did show this, and the only other thing, although, because I talked about possibly making some snowflakes and so on and so forth, but if I am cutting this around the border, I don't know if I need to, because maybe one like over here, or, well, if that's filled in, maybe one over here or over here, because I have to go up this way. But I'm calling it a finish. If I throw in an extra snowflake or two, you'll see it when it goes in the scrapbook. But I decided the snowmen definitely, they needed their faces. They needed their smiles. The little bear did need that little bit to give its face. But honestly, I think the tree, this is what trees look like now without all the backstitch. And so I'm used to that. And you can really tell the difference between the different snowmen. So I'm cool with that. So 2002 start, 2022 finish. It sat for a long time, but I can finally say it is done. And so this will definitely go in the scrapbook. And this one will have a nice little story about how I started it, and then life got in the way, and it sat. And now it's just a very nice memory. Megan is literally, tomorrow is her birthday, and she'll be 21. So, and yes, I could still make it as a stocking and so on and so forth, but honestly, it's just going to go in my scrapbook. I want it in my book instead. So my stepmom, well, when the kids were little, made them she made all 4 of us stockings. So they've got a handmade stocking that my stepmom is a very good sewer, seamstress. So they have stockings that they can take on that are handmade. So now this can go in my book instead. So my very oldest project is now, I'm considering complete, finished. So now I think we jump ahead to 2020 as the next oldest. But yeah, I'm super excited. And honestly, it's kept really well. So there's the back. Not too bad. But if you have an old project, pull it out and see. Mine kept really well, even though I was really surprised the floss kept well and everything. So Snow family fun. And maybe at some point, especially for those of you who would feel ambitious to make a stocking, you'll see this as a giveaway down the road. Maybe as we get closer to Christmas or at some point. I think it'd be fun to pass it on. I mean, it's a little bent in places, but the pattern is perfectly fine. You can still read it easily. So, okay, so that's my oldest project in the books, done. Next, I only did one full coverage this week. I was working on this one and I didn't want to switch on. Normally I would switch on Wednesday and do something else. And I said I wanted to give this a few more days. I'll probably switch today or this weekend and go to something else. I think for the next few weeks, they'll get maybe 9 or 10 days rather than a little bit shorter, just because the way my schedule is going to go. But this one is a continuation. You saw it last week, Hidden Harbor, artwork by Andy Russell. And I'm still up here, still up here. As you noticed, I talked about last week, I did finish that deep, deep blue over there. And then I couldn't decide. I did some down here, you'll see. I did some in here, over there. And that's the thing. One of these days, I just need to concentrate. Because this had about, in the time I've worked on it this time, it got about 1,200 stitches. If I worked in one specific area, you'd probably see more progress. But you know, I like to jump around, and these colors are gorgeous, so I really like to jump all around. So let's show you from a distance. That's where we are. And then come on in. So this here got a lot more work. I picked one of the purples, and I think I did 6 strands down here. I was able to find enough of that one color that really got some work. So this mountain, it's a mountain, right? Yeah, this mountain right here got some work. I did quite a bit, some sea foam, and then I came up here with these blues and got some of the blues done. So I definitely jumped around, but again, I'm filling in. So there is some confetti. There's still some because I haven't gotten to that symbol, and I think that's where that purple got a lot of work, because there was a little bit of a purple somewhere, and I said, oh, let's just focus on that one, and that got a lot. But again, I pick sometimes that symbol and then I find it in other places. This is 18 count White Aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross. Hidden Harbor. I love the colors on this. This is so much fun and so much variety. So if you're like me and you just like to switch around sometimes, then you can do that too. So yeah, so I did a quick look last night just out of curiosity, and it did get 1,200 stitches in the course of, I think it was 8 days or so that it got work. So again, what I do a lot of times is I don't focus on whatever full coverage I'm working on that week for a full stitching time day, you know, because I'll stitch a little bit in the morning, I stitch all different times of the day, and I have little bits of pockets of time. And I don't usually sit for hours and hours at a time. But what was I going to say? Sometimes you're just talking and the words just literally fly out of your brain. But okay, so yes, so I do a little bit, and I try to get between 100 and 150 stitches a day. I think one day I was able to get 200 out of it, and so that got me up. My goal when I pick these up is to get maybe a good 1,000 stitches in before I switch it out. So that's why it sees a little bit of time every day, which can also contribute to me jumping around. If I just sat down for, X amount of hours on one given day, I might focus in on that section more, but because I do different days, sometimes I'm just like, today I feel like purple, or today I feel like bright blue. So that's what it looks like. This one will go away for now, and I will pull out another piece that you'll see next week. I've been kind of doing them in not a specific set rotation, but this one now will go to the top of the pile that because I've got, mine. I don't have a really good way to keep these. If you have a good way of keeping, if you have multiple full coverages, neat and everything else, right now they're just in a cubby, they're piled. And so this one will go to the top of the pile, and then I'll take the piece from the bottom of the pile, because that's the one that's been the longest since I've worked on it. And I have some in the rotation Some are not in the rotation. I really do need to bring out that Christmas run. There's so much confetti on that one. So I've been a little bit hesitant to bring it out, but at some point it will come back out again. And then there's another one that's not in this rotation at the moment, but that's it. It's not. I don't plan it this way, but right now there's a rotation of, I don't know if it's 5 or 6 of them, and I just, when I put one away, I just go from the bottom of the pile and pick the next one. So we'll see. I don't remember what's next. We'll see next week what I pull out. Okay, there's a lot of thread in this too. I don't have a good way. Somebody had asked me during a full coverage, how do I store my DMCs? Because I very often, I pull a lot of them. At the very least, whatever section I'm in, I pull all those. And I don't put them on drops. I just keep them in the skeins. And then I take sandwich bags. And if I have, say, 10 or 15 or 20 colors that I'm really focused on in an area, they go in the sandwich bag. So I'll look for in there first for the color. And then if it's not in there, then I look in the bigger thing of colors. I don't have a good routine on that yet. At some point, if I do, I will share, I promise. I'm just, yeah, it's all kind of trial and error. I mean, it took me a long time to come up with this way to store my floss. And I tried a bunch of different ways over the last few years. So eventually I'll figure out what works best during the project time. But for now, nothing super clever, to be quite honest. Okay, next. I pulled this one out. I didn't stitch on it the week before, but I wanted to. I felt the need one day. I was missing chamois, and so I definitely, Shamrock was, for those of you who may be new, we had a wonderful, wonderful pet named Shamrock, a little doggy. He was a Havanese, and we lost him in May. And so I started this after we had lost him, and sometimes I just like stitching on it because I love all the different colors and I love how cute it is. This is Wonderland, Ukraine, by the way. And in the description box, I list where the designs come from, what fabric I'm using. And for example, there will be a link to Wonderland, Ukraine if you would like to flick them on. They're on Etsy. But so sometimes I just feel like stitching on it because it's cute and I like the different colors and it's fun. Sometimes though, if I'm finding I really could use a Shamrock cuddle, which I did need this past week at one day, and he's not here, so I stitched this instead. And that's what I did. And I have an eye. I have one eye. So we're getting there. Of course, because there's only one eye, it still doesn't really look like a dog. Because I can see the full pattern, I can kind of see it. So here's the eye. This one what I try to do in the course of a week, if I'm going to pull a project out, I want to get a chunk of it done. And so I try to get about 500 stitches on a piece that I've brought out for a week. So sometimes that may happen in a day, sometimes it doesn't. And there's some days where I just flip through maybe 4 or 5 projects, just doing a little bit here and there, maybe 100 stitches just on something, and then I just switch. So there's never any rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. But again, it always amazes me when you stitch and when you actually start looking at areas, there's more stitches than you ever realize. I stitched the top of the eye and a little bit down here, and that, actually I think it was more than 500 stitches that this got. And that was my focus, maybe a strand or 2 over here. I really wanted to get the eye though, because I wanted to start to see the dog come alive. So I think what I'll do is I will continue down this way and I'll get through the bottom of the face here and then work my way over there. And I might go from the middle out rather than out. I'm not sure yet, but I do think this is where I'll tackle next. This is 18 count Honeydew Melon from To Die For Fabrics. And that is my little Shamrock piece. And we have an eye. Super excited. And the ear is done at this point. So that's as far as the ear will come down, but then the face with this little tuft by the mouth will come down about here. So we're getting there. But that is, I call it Colorful Dog. I'm not sure what its official name is. You know, on Etsy, there was always theories as to what you should title something. Should you do long titles? Should you do short words with commas? And what was the best for the Etsy algorithm? I'm not really sure there is a good answer to that. And they keep it very close to the vest sometimes, so you don't exactly know what's best for the Etsy algorithm. So, but they happen to use a lot of short phrases with commas, at least with this one. Yeah, dog cross stitch, then colorful pet, home decor, instant download. So, you know, I call it colorful dog. That might be what the name of it is on the pattern after I downloaded it. But if you go there, and what I do in order to show you each week is I just put the word dog in the search at the shop, and then this comes right up. In fact, this was the first one. I don't know if it's because I've searched for it before. But, so that's Colorful Dog, Wonderland, Ukraine, and my Shamrock. Okay, next. I like this one. This is monochromatic, and it's the only monochromatic I have, but I have to say, I really enjoy stitching it. There are some days where I just don't want to switch colors, maybe especially after a full coverage where I'm switching a lot. This is Spring Quaker from Jardin Prive. I will stitch all 4. They can be done as a full piece. I'm not doing that. I'm doing them all as singles. And because they can be done in a full piece, for example, the next season has the other half of this. And so when anything that there's the other half of this is the first edge. And so anytime any of these patterns have a half, if you were to continue them, the other half would be there. And I think as a continuation, she does leave a couple spaces in the picture. Obviously, you wouldn't have to do that if you didn't want to. And I believe they're done in different colors to designate the seasons. What I'm doing is I'm going to do all of them in 823, which is a deep navy, and I'm going to change out the fabric colors. And I'm going to try to do kind of bright, happy fabrics as opposed to more muted. And so for spring, I picked this beautiful pink. This is 18 count Dancing Queen from Fortnight Fabrics. It was a fabric of the month this year. I think it was this year. So here we go up close. And I got a good chunk. I did some more letters. So there's definitely more, a full row down here, the start of others. And then I concentrated on here. There's a lot of little itty bitty pieces. I am missing one leaf right here. Looking back at it, I realized I'm missing just one. But that's what, 12 stitches, whatever it is. But otherwise, this entire piece is done. I did a little bit more fill in here, and then I'll just continue working my way down. Except for that little leaf, this whole entire area is completed, and I will just keep filling in. I really enjoyed doing this on the Stitch With Me, so I'm hoping, not this weekend, we'll see. I'm hoping to film another Stitch With Me in the nearer future rather than the far future. We'll see if the schedule lines up, but if it does, I'm going to pick this one out because I really enjoyed stitching on it with the Stitch With Me. I really enjoyed just the one color, and there's different chunks that I can chat and talk with you and still stitch without making huge mistakes. So I think next time you see a Stitch With Me, this will be the project you see. And really, I'm 2/3 done, I'd say. So we are on the final road. I have the fabric and the pattern for the summer piece. And like I said, I'll just continue doing the 823. So once this one's done, I would love to get to the next one. I like having a monochromatic piece in the rotation because I feel some days you want to stitch, but you really don't want to have to keep changing things out. And that one's just a lot of fun for that. So once that one's finished, keep an eye out for my summer one. The other 2 seasons they have not been released yet. They'll be released as you get closer to the season this year. These have been releases just from this year from Jardin Prive. Okay, so next I stitched, you know that I've been liking to do one artist trading card a week. Now, I've got one made completely, and then I have one stitched. I have this one stitched, and I have to finish them. I have something coming that may help me fully finish the next one. I will trade with whoever wants to trade. Just remember, I am one person, and so as I stitch, what I'll do is I'll start trading when people send them to me. So if you haven't gotten to it yet, but you'd like to trade, no worries, because I have to get them done. I have some ideas on some that I'd like to do for little patterns. Others, this week what I did was I went through some patterns and I picked this out completely, just a very small portion of a pattern. And that's so fun and can help you look at your stash in a whole different way if you want to try. Artist trading cards, for those of you who don't know, are very small pieces that are 2.5 by 3.5. It's a very specific size. And so depending on your stitch count or your fabric, your stitch count will be different. With an 18 count, it is around 43 by 65. I have the exact numbers. I did the math over there, but I don't have it with me. But if you wanted me to help you with any of that, to figure out if you're stitching on a different size fabric and you're not 100% sure, I'd be happy to help you with it. So what I did was I took this pattern. It's the Calendar Crates from Stitching with the Housewives. It's the August piece. I wanted to find a sunflower, and that's what I did was I picked out this one sunflower and I stitched that. So it's not fully finished and it's not cut down to its 2.5 by 3.5 size yet. It's going to look a little bit bigger than it will when it's finished. But just to give you an idea. And these patterns by the Housewives are usually very good. Like you could do, there's this sunflower and this little. They usually have so much. I have to say, I like individual elements with the Housewives patterns. For me, some of them are a little bit too full of stuff. I actually, of the crates, I actually like the little signs a little bit more than I like the big signs. But what's nice about the big ones is I can pick pieces out, and that's what I did. So here we go. That is an 18 count. I want to say it's Summer Sky from Vintage Needlearts. So it was a fun little blue. And what I did, this was actually a little bit longer than what the size would be. So these leaves are up a couple of boxes higher than they would be if I had stitched it as a full piece this way. But super fun. So I haven't decided how I want to finish this one yet. I know with the bumblebee what I want to do. I have a general idea. This one, I don't know. I might fussy cut it. So for those of you who are paper crafters, you know the term fussy cutting well. Usually if we take a stamp of something and we cut around all of the edges, that's called fussy cutting. I don't know if it's used in other types of crafts. If it has, then you don't need the explanation. But I'm thinking now I might not fussy cut so much between all of those. I might just kind of do a general circle and then coming around. But I'm debating on doing that and cutting it tighter and then doing something with the card. I don't know yet though. That could change. If I can come up with some sort of idea, what I might do with my next finish with me when it comes to some of the artist trading cards is I might do a few in a video, depending if or I might just do little mini little ins and outs of finishing. We'll see. I don't know what I'm doing yet with these, but again, this, if I was to, you could keep all of the fabric around it and just have a nice, because this is almost probably the 3.5 right there. And then, you know, wherever that happens to be there. And you could just layer. I'm going to show you. I received some paper crafting artist trading cards this week, and I received a stitched one. So I'm super excited. I want to show you all. If you were on the fence wanting to give it a try, I want to show you the stitched one. And the stitched one, the fabric, besides the stitched piece is the star. The fabric is kind of the it's not assisting, it's the supporting. The fabric is the supporting cast, and then you have your piece. So I do want to show that to you later on. But that's that right there. So this one will become an ATC. I just don't know how I'm finishing yet. All right, a couple more pieces. I am yammering today and yammering on and on and on. So let's get going. This one, day 24. Not much to talk about this one, right? I did that one This week, the fabric was Haunting, 18 Count Haunting by Fabrics by Stephanie. And that's what it looks like. Super cute. Pretty easy to stitch. There are 2 different purples in the hat, multiple oranges and yellows in the rim part here, but for the most part, pretty quick. The next one is this one, day 20, where am I, day 25? That one will go on black fabric. I may change, I don't know yet. I don't know if I'll keep the floss color choice of that on the black. I'll have to see what it looks like. If it looks okay, I'll keep it. If not, I'll change it. But that's the one you'll see hopefully next week. We'll see. Okay, and then last but not least, I had a new start. I have been wanting to start this one. It's been kitted probably since 2020, the fall of 2020. I thought about starting it, and I don't know if I was waiting for the fabric, and then it got to be past fall, and it's been sitting there, and I even had the flosses with it. It was sitting, waiting and waiting. So I said, I'm finally going to do it. It's a fall color piece, so I'm pulling out some of these, but they're still bright bolds, right? So even though my summer has been a summer of bright, bold colors and beaches and things like that, this works even though we're heading into the autumn colors, or into the autumn patterns. This is called Forest by Satsuma Street. And what I love about her work, when she has, for example, you know, the different trees, they layer upon each other, she will change that color. And so when you look at it from a distance, it really looks like the pieces, I'm going to fold this smaller, the pieces are all layered and there's dimension with them. So you won't really notice it today because I only have one, but I got one tree done. This is 18 Count Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. I want to say, it's not 18 count, but I want to say, I don't know if it's, I think it's Serena Sprout. I think Autumn Lane Stitchery used this color for Serena Sprout, but on a different count. So I don't know how much different it would look. So if you have any Friendship Green and you're looking to do Serena, that's a possibility. It's a pretty green. It's a lighter green. It's not a deeper green. It's definitely lighter. But these colors, I threw all the flosses. They're, you know, I mean, you've got the oranges and the yellows and the browns, but then you have almost like a magenta. She's got a lot of bold, bright colors, and they're all gonna pop on this. This is gonna be kind of a long, thinner one. And the picture was made as a pillow. I won't do that. But that's what it looks like. And my goal was to try to get one tree done. That won't happen every week because some of those trees are big. But for the first week, I figured, let's get one tree done. I could get this little guy done. It wouldn't take very long. So yeah, so that's Forest. And lots of fun. Lots of great colors. Bright. Sometimes colors you wouldn't necessarily put together. But she does such a great job with color. I enjoy her work and her patterns. All right, that's the stitching. Whew. That's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, I got some happy mail, and I do want to thank those friends that sent me some. The first, I got a package from Colleen. Colleen, thank you so much. And I know I've reached out to you. Colleen made some stuff for me, and she sent me a great pattern that I'm going to use, and then something funny that made me laugh. And she sent me a very lovely letter, and she said, I forgot how nice and how fun it was to write letters. And I agree, Colleen. That's something that's just not done very much anymore. So first off, we have this wonderful pattern. It's from Stony Creek, and it's called Beach Heaven. And she was funny. She was like, there's so many pieces of thread. I don't know if you want to do them all. But I was thinking maybe it might be fun to stitch this and then stitch different pieces and parts of it. So that's how I think I might break this one up a little bit. It's a lot of fun. And a little beach, a little bit of heaven on earth. So thank you so much. That is so fun. And I'm really going to enjoy looking through and finding parts for that one. My Adirondack chair. You know I have to do that. And then she made me this beautiful, beautiful little bag. And I want to show you, look at on the scissor, all these different charms. They're gorgeous. I am loving this. It is beautifully done, and I can't wait to put things in it. And inside, we had some great little treats. There are a few little, this is a thread hopper, And then this looks like how you put the thread on. I'm again, the words are coming, they're not coming to me. So we have those in there. And then she sent me, Colleen is a paper crafter. And so she sent me some paper crafted artist trading cards, which is so cool. I love the different techniques, and she has a bunch of different techniques and different things that she's done. So she sent me 3. This first one, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So we have a die cut, we have some patterned paper, we have some embossed cardstock, little ribbon. But how cute, if for example, if you wanted to stitch something and it was top heavy, you could keep the fabric on the bottom, maybe put a ribbon around it. Or she's better at the bows than I am. I am abysmal at ribbon bows, even on cards. It's just not a skill I have. So a lot of times I either knot it or I just do it straight across because I am bow challenged. This one is follow your art. I love that. And it is actually, if you can see, it is up on kind of dimensional tape. So it has a little bit of dimension to it. Love that one. And then the colors of this are gorgeous. And it's that's a pattern paper that's got some kind of metallic things to it as well. Isn't that beautiful? But again, think about what you can do with your stitching. You don't have to do what I did with the inks and so on and so forth. You could have a small stitch, maybe put a piece of paper underneath it and you'd be good to go. Those are so cool. And then I had to laugh when she watched my artist trading card finish, ATC finish. Of course, I got ink on my fingers. So she sent me some wipe. She's like, when we used to do, I think, I want to say, if I remember in your letter, you'd said when you went places to, I don't know if it was to the store or like to classes, they would have these to wipe their hands off. These are staying up here in the craft room. They're going to get good use. Thank you, Colleen. I got a good laugh out of that. So thank you so much. I love, love, love your cards. And I'll be sending back to you. And I love all the pieces and that pattern. It's so fun. I'm going to try to find a piece of it. And then this lovely friend, she cracks me up. She wasn't sure she was going to send it. I said, please send it. Please understand. Anytime you do something creative, and most of us, we're all our harshest critics, right? I appreciate the time, effort, and your creativity because you did something. It is creative. I so appreciate that, and I am thrilled to receive it. Whether you think it is worthy of that, it is. It absolutely is, and I'm so thrilled she sent it to me. And she said, yes, I could show it because I want to show you a brilliant way to do a quick finish, to add a little something, especially if you're intimidated. So here we go. Acorns. The blue flower, she took part of a pattern, and I love it. So we have the stitched pieces. So they're the stars, right? And then we have the supporting cast, this beautiful, beautiful, it almost looked like, it reminds me, I don't know if it's vintage country or a hand dyed of some sort. It's beautiful. It's got, and this was great because over here you have the texture on the other side of the stitched piece, so it gives that texture to it. So it's so nice. And then what she did, I think it's washi tape. I'm not 100% sure, but super fun. All of the edges are covered so that you could attach the stitching in the back. And there we go. We have a beautiful stitched artist trading card. I love it. I absolutely love it. And again, you can add, there's so many different types of tapes and stuff. Add a little bit of edging to it. It's kind of like, you know how when people make pillows and they have the stitched part and then they do the fabric extra all around all those edges? You could do that. Love it. Thank you so much, dear friend. You know who you are, and I am so thrilled you sent it to me. I am going to keep it with my received ones with pride. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's my happy mail. And then I have a little bit of fabric to show you for shopping. I have a fabric of the month from Fortnight Fabrics, and then a real quick, just 2 other pieces I picked up at the store. This one is my small piece. It's the opal. It's called, oh, if you don't want to see, if you get Fortnight Fabrics Fabric of the Month, these would be July's. If you haven't gotten them, you don't want to see, 18 count 8 is what I get. Look away. This one's called Helix Nebula. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful, beautiful. I love all the different shades. And this most definitely, I could do some beautiful smalls on this if I wanted to do ATCs. I could almost take each section, and each one, like this section, would be totally different than this one. So I could stitch completely different things on them, and it'd be so much fun. So that's the opal. And then the other one is called, I think it's the Groovy Gradients. So if you don't want to see that, look away. This one's called La Freak. And there you go. Again, very subtle, very, very subtle, but beautiful. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So I'm super thrilled with that as well. Let me put it down so you can look back. I did actually, I stopped my Color and Cotton Fabric of the Month. I've been getting it for a while. I love their colors and I love their fabrics, but I decided I wanted to potentially change, and I had to make a decision who I was stopping. And for now, that was the one I'm going to stop. So I won't have any more Color and Cotton Fabric of the Month to show you, but maybe down the road I'll have something else. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. All right, and then I was having a really bad day last Saturday, and Mo said, let's go for a ride, and we did, and we ended up, I'm in Rehoboth, and we went south. We went, well, Mo's like, first let's get gas for the car. We had to get gas. So we kind of went down south, more south in Delaware. So we're like, oh, let's at least drive through Dewey, which is the next beach after Rehoboth. And then Mo's like, we're almost there, because after Dewey is Bethany. It's like, why don't we go to the needlework store? You can look around, you know, and so on and so forth, get, you know, pep up a little bit. So we drove the extra to Bethany. The traffic Saturday afternoons is in the summer is like the worst, absolute worst time to be, because people are coming in and out for their vacations. But traffic was surprisingly, it wasn't bad at all. The other direction was kind of backed up, but the direction we went wasn't bad. So we made pretty good. They laughed at me at the store. They said, you came on a Saturday? I said, I know. Not sure what I was doing. So Sea Needles is the store in Bethany. It's a cute little store. There's a lot of other things besides just cross stitch. Crochet, knitting. I don't know the difference between the two. Lots of beautiful items with that. There is some more needlepoint canvases and so on and so forth, which I haven't really jumped into. But they have a small section of some patterns, a little bit of fabrics. They do have flosses, which I didn't have any flossless with me, because they do have DMCs. I would have picked some up there because I have some on a list. And then I think they also said they have Needlearts and somebody else. I don't remember. But the patterns themselves, Mo was waiting for me, so I always feel bad if he's out there waiting. I don't want to. It was hot. It was warm that day. He was sitting in the car. You know, he's still got the boot on. So it was a quick trip. I wasn't in there super long. Their patterns are definitely more vintage. So if you are looking for vintage stuff, if you ever want me to look for something, I can look down there. They don't have a lot of the newer patterns out. So I did a quick look. Nothing really jumped out at me. But when I was over by the fabrics, I picked these up. They were a good price for, they're printed fabrics, and they're very subtle. One is kind of the splatter of the yellow splatter. I don't know if that'll show up. I don't even need to open it up, right? These are 18 by 22 pieces, but you don't need to see that so much. So there's yellow splatter on that one. And then this one is the greenish splatter. So that's it. That's all I got. But I thought these would be kind of cool too. If you want to do a little ATC, you could, something like this fabric would definitely have interest. So if you had something you wanted to stitch in the center and have the rest of it be fabric as your main part on your trading card, something like this would show so much interest and so on and so forth. So again, it doesn't have to be big, elaborate, and it doesn't have to be, if you're not interested in the paper crafting, it doesn't have to be that part. So always think about what you're using and how you're using it. So that's it. That's all I got. And then there were a couple, it was Sea Needles. This is in kind of a strip mall. And this was like mid-afternoon, so Mo was like, oh, there's a bowl place there, and oh, they have some vegan bowls. So we had we grabbed the bowls, we drove up a bit to, I think it's more Dewey, and there was a section by one of the state parks, and we pulled in, and you could see the water. We stayed in the car, and we ate, and it was nice. And then I felt a lot better when I came home, so it was a nice little outing. And I got a couple pieces of fabric into boot. So, but that's it. That's what I have to show you on that. I have my eye on some digital patterns. I just haven't picked them up yet. One of these days I will get them and I'll show them with you. But yeah, so that's the shopping. Alrighty, giveaways. Let's talk giveaways. First off, ooh, sorry for that noise. I never heard from the winner from the Mill Hill, the Jim Shore Mill Hill Candy Cane Santa. So first off, I'm going to choose a new name. Now, because we have a giveaway this week that's already in the blue bowl, these are just in a simple little bag. I only have one blue bowl. So let's move those around. And our new winner for the Mill Hill Candy Cane Santa. I can't separate the pieces of paper as well on the, I need another bowl. Who's our winner? The Happy Stitcher. So congratulations, Happy Stitcher. I'll put you up. You are the new winner of the Mill Hill kit. So if you could get back to me with your address, I will send that out to you. Congratulations. All right, so put that there. Then this week's giveaway is Autumn ABCs from Little House Needlework. This is a completely unused pattern. It is new. I had bought it for myself. Decided I didn't at this time want to stitch it, and so I would love to pass it on to somebody else who would like to stitch it. And maybe you want to stitch it this autumn. So, and there are some cute, I'm looking at, there's a cute little birdhouse, and, or actually no, that's a scarecrow. There's some pumpkins. There's this house. Those would be cute little elements if you wanted to stitch a little something from the pattern rather than the full pattern. All right, so our winner of the Autumn ABCs is, let me pull apart the names. Who do we have? Here we go. Let's see. I don't want to put it against a color that I'll put it against my forest fabric. This is Joyce Mills. Congratulations, Joyce. You've won the Autumn ABCs pattern. So if you could get back to me, Joyce, with your address, I will send that out to you. So I will put your name with, whoa, so that's that. So I'll put your name with the pattern, and you know what, I'm going to put it right in the pattern so it doesn't get lost, right in the thing. Okay, so that is, we have Joyce and we have the Happy Stitcher as winners this week. All right, put that in there, put that there. And then this week, I didn't get to stitching on it this week because I really wanted to finish Northern Lights. So instead of getting a finish on this, I worked on Northern Lights. Now this is a brand new pattern. This is not my pattern. This has not been used. This is the first time it's ever come out of the plastic, but it's totally brand new. And it is Betsy's Autumn from Plum Street. So I showed Betsy's Autumn last week. My goal is to have it finished by the end of August, and I think that's completely doable. But this is a pattern, I had two, I'm using one, I'm going to pass on the second one. At some point, maybe I'll share the one I've used as a pass the stash, but this is a completely new one. Betsy's Autumn from Plum Street. And let us say Betsy. So if you say the word Betsy, then your name will be put in the blue bowl. All right. So I'll pick that next video. Put that over by the giveaway stuff too. I like to keep all of that in one place. Otherwise, if I put it in a safe place, we will never find it again. So that is the stitching. I'm done with all of that. If you don't want to hear about any life stuff, and there's not too much, just a little bit, then I will see you next week, and I hope you have a fabulous, wonderful week. Thank you for stopping by. If you want to hear life stuff, then let's just jump right in. So World Cross Stitching Day today. I have no specific plans. Tonight, actually, we're doing, so Megan's birthday is tomorrow. She turns 21 tomorrow. Can't believe it that she, August 13th, 2001. But Connor's working tomorrow night. So we wanted to do a dinner tonight where we're all around. So we are going to do dinner tonight. Mo's already been out to the grocery store. I don't want to talk too loud in case anybody hears. And he got her an ice cream cake. So we'll do that. Well, I won't eat it, but the rest of them will eat it. I'll have a little dessert for her. Yeah, so that's tonight. That's our plans for tonight. But this afternoon, besides hopefully, fingers crossed, last week the video went uploaded very quickly, but my scrap with me took 6 hours for that short video. So we'll see. This is much longer, so we'll see what happens. But other than uploading and getting the video ready, I will be stitching hopefully this afternoon. That's that. Tomorrow is Megan's birthday. Like I said, she's got some plans with friends because, again, because Connor's working pretty much most of the day. Actually, he's quite a long shift tomorrow. So we said, you know what, plan some stuff if you want. And so I think there's a beach in there. There might be some sort of rental of, what are they, the jet skis or paddle boats or kayak. I don't even know what the plans are. And then, of course, when you turn 21 and you can go out and legally get a drink, that, of course, is one of the rite of passage, right? So I think that's planned tomorrow too. But they've already checked. Oh, they're like, Uber prices are really cheap to come back to the house. So I like to hear that. No driving if you're going to be doing that. They're already planning that, so that's good. But so tomorrow she'll kind of do her own thing, and we'll do the family thing today. Other than that, so Mo is down to the one crutch I had said, and Monday when he goes to physical therapy, the therapist will make a decision on whether or not he can get rid of that crutch and just be boot only. So we'll see. He might be boot only, and then that would be for a good 3 weeks, and then maybe mid-September he can be out of the boot as well. He's thrilled though. The one going from 2 crutches to 1 was a game changer because now he could carry things and it was much easier with the 1 crutch. And getting that little lift for his foot so that now the 2 feet are level was huge too, because he was getting some issues with his back a little bit because you're lopsided. The boot leg is taller than the other one. But he's definitely super excited now to get rid of the crutches altogether. They always seem to fall and this and that, and he'd have both hands free and he can get around a little bit easier and so on and so forth. So we'll see. That's the hope on Monday. And then I'm trying to think. Sometimes I write notes, and this week I didn't write notes on what anything super and exciting. I told you about my little trip to the stitching store. I always want to say scrapbook store because for years and years you went to the scrapbook store, but it's the stitching store. So yeah, that was fun. And like I said, it was a good afternoon that was needed because beforehand I wasn't in a great place. We did that and I felt so much better. It's amazing what a couple hours can do for you, right? It's been super, super hot, but I think it's finally broke. So I think the weather's going to be nicer. So I might be able to sit outside a little bit more with my stitching rather than being, I'm thankful. Don't get me wrong. Very thankful for air conditioning. For those of you who don't have it, I feel for you. But you get kind of stuck and hemmed in because it's too hot to do anything or go anywhere, and you just kind of get stir crazy. So I'm super excited about the weather getting a little bit nicer, maybe trying to go for a walk outside rather than being stuck in the house too. So, so last night, I guess last night was a super moon. So Mom and I are like, oh, let's go see the moon. And we walk outside our house and we couldn't see it at all. And we're like, okay, let's walk down a little bit. There's a tiny little like walkway between one street and another. So it's a little grassy area. And I'm like, okay, maybe we over there. Couldn't see it. We're like, well, that was a bust. Just before bed, I see kind of the glow through one of the windows in the bedroom. And I look out and there's the moon. I'm like, oh, we didn't have to do anything. The moon must have moved at some point. It's right outside the bedroom window. I'm like, oh, it's cool, but it's just a big moon. I don't know. I guess it was a super moon, but I didn't see much difference. And we went for a little, he's with the crutch, so he can't go far, but we did go for a little walk last night. And it was a little nicer than what it had been weather-wise. So anyway, that was our kind of adventure that really kind of flopped. We had grand plans, but it didn't quite work out that way. But other than that, I'm not sure what else I'm planning this week. Connor's got to start getting all of his stuff packed. So that's I will be nagging this week probably. I mean, he's still working. He told them he could work up through this week. But when he's not working, I have to get him to get everything packed to get ready to go back to school. So I'll really need stitching because I'll need something to kind of relax with, right? And other than that, I don't know if anything else fun comes up this week. I'll tell you about it next time. So that's it. Life's quiet right now, and you know, I mean, quiet but not. You know, there's stuff going on and everything else, but some stuff fun, some stuff just, there's stuff going on, but it's not necessarily fun. You know, it's just life. So you got to deal with that too, right? So that's where we are at the moment. But I'm having lots of fun stitching my ATCs. I'm thrilled and so excited about the idea of the stitching scrapbook, and I can't wait to share more of that with you. I have some fun patterns that I'd like to start at some point and work on, plus I love my current projects. So my stitching right now is in such a fun place, and I am loving each and every minute of it, and I will continue making the ATCs so that I can trade and swap with anybody who is interested. So that's about it. I hope you are well. I hope you are safe. I hope maybe the weather is getting a little bit more manageable where you are, like it is here. We won't talk about what the Farmer's Almanac said about for winter in the US. We'll gloss over that right now. But maybe today, I hope you maybe have, if you're watching this on Friday, on World Cross Stitch Day, I hope you get some stitching in and some just you time, relaxing time for a few X's along the way. But whatever is happening, I hope you have a fantastic, wonderful week. And until next time, happy stitching.